Hey g'day, boys and girls, Sheilas and blokes. My name is Jacob, and stop whatever else you're doing, it's hammer time. This is a video I've been meaning to make for a while now, and you can probably tell that my motivation was the hammer. I love the hammer, it is my favourite weapon in the whole Monster Hunter series, and it's the weapon I first started with, and the weapon I've played the most of. I think hammers are extremely cool in general. If another game has a hammer, then I'm using it, and if there's a character in some form of media who uses a hammer, they are one of my favourite characters in it. You could say I'm very bonkers about the hammer. Yeah, anyway. It was late December last year after the hype around Monster Hunter Wilds reveal that a few mates and I returned to Generations Ultimate. It was about then I started to think of hammer's various iterations throughout the series. Hammer was one of the 7 available weapons from the series' debut entry, and ever since that game it's always been a highly mobile, heavy-hitting behemoth, which is something that I hope never changes. However, various installments have made alterations to that moveset, resulting in a variety of different playstyles within the established role, with some more so than others. That's why today I want to look at each of these to subjectively rank Hammer's moveset in every single Monster Hunter game. Before I get into the meat of the video, I'll quickly explain the rules I used when I was creating this list. Firstly, I'm only using Monster Hunter games I can play with easy access to. This means games like Monster Hunter Online that no longer have a functional server, or so I'm aware of anyway, or Monster Hunter Dynamic Hunting, which I spent 6 aggravating hours one night failing to get working, among some other smaller Japanese titles. These just won't be included, I can't play them. Secondly, I won't be going deep into statistics for stuff like damage, motion values, invulnerability frames, etc. I'll definitely talk a bit about some of these, but I mostly care about what's more fun, and after all, this is a video game we play to enjoy ourselves. And lastly, I've already said this, but I want to make it very clear this ranking is subjective. That means everything I say here will be my personal opinion. You're likely to have a different view of the hammer to mine, and I encourage all my fellow hammer bros to share that with me in the comments by the end of the video. Okay, now that's all said and done, let's start at the bottom and work our way up. Monster Hunter now. Mobile game with pay-to-win microtransactions, moving on. Okay, alright, not just yet, but seriously, this game is bad. Like, most of it is an asset flip of Monster Hunter World, complete with the terrible slapped-on part weapons. Gameplay is controlled through the touchscreen, not with buttons no, but by swiping your finger across it, like, ugh. And Hammer's moveset here is like almost one-to-one with Monster Hunter World's hammer, the only new addition in quotation marks being the Adaptive Aid from Monster Hunter Generations. I'll talk more about both these later when I get to those games, because frankly I don't want to talk about this shitty mobile game any further, okay? There are way better options to play Monster Hunter on the go, so moving on. Monster Hunter Generation 1. Marking the beginning of the series and thus Hammer's original iteration, the weapon was a mix of Greatsword's fat damage and the Sword and Shield's mobility, making it an extremely easy weapon to pick up and play. Now, this being the first appearance of the hammer, I'll take this chance to explain the weapon's core attacks, as they've persisted throughout every game these past 20 years. Starting off is your bread and butter 3-hit combo consisting of 2 overhead smashes into the famous Golf Swing. There's the side smash that can be used to combo into the Golf Swing as well. Up next are the charge attacks. These work a bit differently in Generation 1. The first level charge is a forward swing with no follow-up. Second level is similar to the first, this time covering more distance and having a follow-up attack, but can still not be comboed into your neutral combo. Third level has 2 charge attacks, and you likely already know these as the powerful ground smash if executed idle or the spinning bludgeon when used while moving. The moveset is simple, and that's oftentimes best. I won't score it any higher due to Generation 1's dated game design that makes playing it a rough experience, even for diehard fans like I. And KO wasn't a mechanic in these first couple games, so the hammer's most notable feature is completely absent here. It's just all around, like, not good. Monster Hunter Stories. This is the first of a few spin-off titles I'll be covering today. Initially I was going to make a joke about playing a better Monster Hunter Now on mobile, as this footage is from Stories' extremely good mobile port. However, the game is now getting a brilliant looking remaster for modern platforms, so it's probably better to wait for that version instead. So enough trying to sell you on the game, you want to know how the hammer is, right? Well, hammer is one of many 4 weapon choices. That is unlocked 10 hours into the game. Not a good start, but how about the gameplay? Well, it's turn-based, and the focus is more on your monster instead of the rider. After all, this is a creature taming game. And while that part doesn't make the game bad, what does is hammer's arguably the worst weapon for a rider to use. And I only say arguably because people will debate me over the hunting horn being the worst. If you're a member of the Bonk Brigade, stories will give you a hard time, I'm sorry. This isn't to say it's outright terrible. I have beaten the game using hammer, but I'll admit it's far more difficult doing so over using the 2 starting weapon options instead. What makes hammer a challenging weapon to use is the fancy attack combos the rider can activate through the rock paper scissors style combat, and running say rock for example 3 times in a row most of the time isn't a viable strategy, leaving you in an unfortunate position during the fight. Outside the type matching combos, you get other attacks that use an MP style system that you'll find in many RPGs called the kinship gauge, and these attacks change depending on the monster you made gear out of. I'm hoping that wasn't enough to turn you off Monster Hunter Stories. If you haven't played it yet, I encourage you to try it when the remaster's out later this year. It is a good game, despite being rough around the edges. Monster Hunter Generation 2. This generation was my first experience with the Monster Hunter series back in Freedom Unite, so it's also my first experience with the hammer. And hammer in Generation 2 plays exactly the same as Generation 1, but with one very important change. And that's KO, or simply just stun as we often call it. This is without doubt hammer's most notable feature, even if Capcom has now given every man in his bloody Palamute the ability to KO a monster. Since I don't have much else to say about the moveset here, I'll just like to point out that in Generation 1 and 2, hammer's side smash can be comboed into a full golf swing combo. Starting from 3rd generation, the side smash will replace the first overhead smash, but here it doesn't, giving hammer a quick 4-hit combo. This is an extremely useful combo to use, given dodge cancelling isn't as much a thing in these early games, nor is chaining from the level 1 charge attack back into the 3-hit combo, so getting that extra hit in the attack chain is absolutely huge for hammer. Earth Hammer, Monster Hunter Frontier. Another moveset that doesn't change much from the previously mentioned one, this is Earth-style hammer from Monster Hunter's soon-to-be steroid-addicted cousin, Monster Hunter Frontier. However, there's nothing particularly jacked here though, as Earth Hammer is the default moveset for Frontier, and back in these early days it's mostly just more of Monster Hunter 2. You're still fighting mostly familiar monsters on mostly familiar maps, but this is a new game and thus every weapon got a couple new moves. For hammer, that comes with a much needed follow-up to the unsheathing attack, which can also be executed off the 2nd level charge. You see, up until now in main series Monster Hunter games, the hammer's draw attack would only hit once before entering the attack recovery animation. You'll be familiar with draw attacks if you've played any recent Monster Hunter game, as these became the norm starting in Generation 3 onwards. Here in Frontier, it's not as good as the more recent games, but nevertheless it is a welcome addition to have. These 2 attacks are exclusive to Frontier and are a variant of the overhead smash, or this sick home run swing. As an incredible animation as these look, I don't find them particularly good in combat, at least aside from the draw attack. The only time I find myself using them is of course on my draw, or if I can't pull off my level 3 charge attack and the monster's standing still enough for me to smash it off of my level 2 charge. But it does make a fun attack to use on fellow hunters, even more so than the uppercut charge hammer gets in the later games. Frontier only gets better moving forward, so let's continue. Heaven Style, Monster Hunter Frontier. Well, would you look at that, more Frontier already, this time it's Heaven Style hammer. Introduced in Update 8.0, Heaven Style added new attacks to every weapon to help hunters keep up with Frontier's ramped up difficulty. For hammer, Heaven Style gives only one new attack, but that one new attack is one of my favourite hammer moves in the entire franchise. And that's this infinite combo attack, which I don't exactly know the name of, but anyway, this attack replaces the spinning bludgeon on the level 3 charge. Unlike some infinite combos on other weapons, this attack doesn't consume any stamina, which is super sweet. Sadly though, people in the community consider this an overall downgrade to the hammer. I would of course disagree, but in the end, this change depends on the hunter using it, and I'd like to remind everyone, this list is subjective. Monster Hunter World, the board game. Yes, when I said look at Hammer in every Monster Hunter game, I seriously meant every Monster Hunter game. This is Monster Hunter World, the board game, created by Steamforge, and as it's an official product by Capcom, it counts, so I'm going to talk about it. Now, when it comes to the board game, there is a lot to talk about, so much so that I made another video entirely talking about that, and I encourage everyone to watch it after this one. In that video, I conveniently left out the part I discuss how Hammer works, partially because I didn't understand it, and also because I was planning to talk about it here instead. So this being a board game, Hammer obviously doesn't play like it does in the video games, and that's not a bad thing. You'll attack using cards you draw from your attack deck, and these change depending on the crafted weapon you're using. Each of these attacks has a set number of damage you're allowed to draw from your damage deck. The damage deck also changes depending on your crafted weapon, and you'll use them to calculate the damage you deal each attack. Hammer gets two special effects for the attack cards, being KO, Build Up, and Charge. These will alter some of the attacks when played, for instance stacking the KO symbols on your attack board before playing a Big Bang finish will add loads more damage to the attack that turn. Lastly for Hammer here, it gets a passive skill that will deal +1 part damage when hitting the head, which makes sense, you're using a hammer, that's your specialty. If you can get past the overly complicated rules, then I think you'll have a lot of fun with Monster Hunter World, the board game. It's something I'm looking forward to playing more of. Alchemy Style, Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. This is the first of several styles I'll be mentioning from Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate today, and it's the popular Alchemy style. No, please put away the pitchforks, hear me out first. For anyone not in the know, Monster Hunter Generations features 6 playstyles, each featuring a fancy gimmick, whilst limiting parts of the moveset. And Alchemy's is the most boring, at least for what it gives to Hammer. It's by no means bad per se, but every weapon that uses Alchemy style gets the exact same addition, which is this Alchemy barrel. You shake this barrel to craft useful items mid-hunt, but again, every weapon can do this, not making it special. I'll quickly list a few of the items you can create that I enjoy, like the fireball that does big damage and looks cool, remedy that heals nearby allies, and lastly cheer to quickly fill up your hunter arts. Speaking of Hunter Arts, these are special ultimate moves you can use in Generations and its expansion that works similar to the Silk Binds from Rise if you're familiar with that game. Alchemy can equip 3 Hunter Arts, so now's a good time as any to touch upon the 3 arts in Generations for Hammer. First up is the Spinning Meteor, and my favourite art for Hammer. This takes a long time to charge, but dishes out massive damage with one badass animation. Second up is Provoke, which basically explains itself, you get targeted more by the monster. And third is Typhoon Trigger, a kind of upgraded version of the Spinning Bludgeon. This attack has the shortest cooldown for Hammer, so it can be Typhoon triggered frequently. If none of these are to your fancy, then there's a dozen universal arts to choose from, but as they aren't Hammer exclusive, they aren't important here to talk about. Hunter Arts can be equipped on any style as well, so again it's nothing specially exclusive to Alchemy, only Alchemy gets 3 arts where most other styles only get 1 or 2. One boost to Alchemy's arts, I'll say again, isn't exclusive to Hammer, is they can proc powerful SP effects to the party like HP regen or increased flinch chance, making this a good option if you like playing a support. I mentioned earlier these styles limit the moveset, and for Alchemy this removes the use of charge attacks after the Ghost Swing combo, so it's the same as Gen 1 or 2 in that regards. Additionally, you can't use the level 3 charge Spinning Bludgeon, it is replaced by the idle level 3 even if you're moving, but it's no biggie really since Typhoon Trigger can easily sub for it. To end off Alchemy Hammer's segment, I'll just say it isn't trash, it just doesn't appeal to me as much as the other styles, since nothing here really makes it special over the other weapons using the same style. Storm Style, Monster Hunter Frontier. Going back to Frontier for a moment, we have Storm Style, a new moveset introduced in the 10.0 update. This is the same as Heaven Style, but with a new 4th level of the charge attack that you'll need to time the use of carefully, since if you hold it too long you will get a 2nd level charge attack instead. So, more of the home run batting I guess. Nothing else really to add, it's a simple new attack atop of the two previous styles I already kind of like. But Frontier has something a little more extreme in store for us later. I'll get to that soon, so don't go anywhere. Aerial Style, Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. This will likely be a decisive one. This is Aerial Style from Monster Hunter Generations. A lot of people like Aerial Style on Hammer, but I find it kind of meh. I actually used a lot of Aerial Style on the original Generations for 3DS. It was probably my most played combination, but coming back to it all these years later, I don't really see the appeal anymore. Let me explain what Aerial Style is real quick for anyone who doesn't understand. So the gimmick is you get an aerial evade that looks like this, and if you touch a monster doing it, you leap into the air for an aerial attack. But for Hammer it's nothing particularly fancy. You can either hit it once, hit it with a double smash, or just start a charge attack. It could be worse, but it could be better too. These attacks also need some tighter timing than other weapons, making the style not optimal for smaller monsters, like this Triple Blangonga quest I was collecting footage on. That was a mistake. It does have its situations where it's good, just not here. And to make it even better, you're going to want to eat for the Rider food skill to make mounting easier over Hammer's more preferable food skill Slugger, and then perhaps gem in the mounting armor skill as well. On the plus side, the aerial evade does get some decent IV frames on the leap, so with some good timing you can ignore the monster's attacks, and that's probably why I played it as much as I did. Back on release, I crafted the low rank armor for Nakaros, and I didn't want to replace it straight away going into high rank, so this evade was a real lifesaver until I did craft one. But enough story time, I needed to discuss the moveset. What you will lose here with Aerial Style is the level 3 charge attack, both of them. Instead, you can only use the level 2 uppercut at maximum charge, but that's mostly a fine change since you're not going to want to be on the ground long enough to charge to free anyway. I think I should point out now saying all this, the level 2 charge attack changed starting in Generation 3 from the 1-2 attack I showed earlier to this new uppercut attack. Lastly, there's only one Hunter art slot available to equip here, and this style's SP ability will recover stamina when aerial evading, so very useful. Well, that's Aerial Style, again probably a decisive one like with Alchemy. I know the community loves these styles on Hammer, but I just don't as much. Adept Style, Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. Alright, we're halfway up the list, and now it's time for Adept Style from Monster Hunter Generations. Aptly named for the style's gimmick targeting that experienced player base, Adept Style rewards you with a powerful counterattack to perfectly dodging an attack, like in character action games. But Adept Style isn't baby easy like Longsword and Rise though, you still need to be adept at the game to land that follow-up. Yep, I'm firing shots at all of you Longsword players out there, stay the bloody hell away from my monster's head. Anyway, back to the main topic, this perfect dodge is called the Adept Evade, and pulling it off will let you attack with either a level 2 charge attack from the first two gens, or enter a new charge mode called Adept Charge. In this new charge state, you gain access to the missing level 2 charge uppercut at first level, a harder hitting variant of the uppercut at second charge, and at max charge, much like the normal charge mode, you get either a powerful Big Bang S attacked when idle, or a powerful running ground slam when moving. The setback to the style is basically, if you're not adept evading, you have the Gen 1 and 2 charge system, so you can't combo off a level 1 charge, and the level 2 is, as mentioned, changed from that newer uppercut to the early Gens 1-2, but this time it can combo into the Golf Swing, so hey, that's good. Like, I hate this change to the charge system for Adept Hammer, but if you're playing it correctly, you shouldn't have to touch it, as you'll be adept charging instead. Also, like Aerial Style, you only get one Hunter art here, and it's the perfect place to use Hammer's Provoke art. Also, using the SP ability will give you better dodge frames for the Adept Evade. I don't often use Adept Hammer, but whenever I do, it's usually fun. Perhaps if I played it more frequently, I might have listed it differently. Land Combat, Monster Hunter Free. This one's a nostalgic one for me as well. Freedom Unite was my first Monster Hunter game. It wasn't until Free Ultimate that I truly fell in love with the Monster Hunter series. This footage is from Portable Third, however, since I'm saving Free for something else. If you know, you know. Anyway, hammer in 3rd generation is where the weapon really found its footing, at least in my opinion anyway, as every addition here was a major improvement to the weapon, but perhaps that's just my rose-tinted view of it all. There's a lot new here, so starting at likely the first attack you'll use, the draw attack, it can now be comboed into the full golf swing combo. I mentioned this before, but gone is our wonderful 4-hit combo using the side smash to start. Now the side smash replaces one of the overhead smashes in this golf swing combo. The level 1 charge attack is now changed to the old level 2 charge attack and leads into the golf swing combo. I love this attack. I might have said that Heaven's Infinite Combo was my favorite attack. Well, I lied, this is my favorite attack. It adds so much to hammer, it's perfect. I already said this, but Gen 3 is where we got the uppercut as our new level 2 charge. And that's all that was added, but by GOG, it's perfect. I love how simple yet effective the hammer plays in Generation 3. It's a fantastic choice for beginners like I still was, while still playing extremely fun. Striker Style, Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. Getting into the second half of GU styles now too with the Striker Hammer. Striker is all about striking, wow, no surprise there. And because of that, this style specializes in hunting arts. You get 3 of these to equip, like with the Alchemy style, but Striker has a passive that fills these arts gauges up a lot faster when doing the striking. The SP skill for Striker Style fills up the gauge passively as well, so you'll be going ham with the Hunter arts throughout the entire hunt. And arts aren't the only thing that charges quickly with Striker Hammer, because you get the skill Focus built into the style so you can land those powerful level 3 charges in quick succession. The only drawback here to Striker Style, and it's really only a drawback to us Hammer Bros, is we lose the Golf Swing at the end of the Golf Swing combo. Now it's just a flat overhead smash combo, which is sad to see, but on the plus side, our fellow hunters aren't going to complain after the quest to stop hitting them. But I mean, unless you've got a hammer or horn, don't be at the head, am I right? Overall, a solid simple pick if you're looking to play Hammer in Generations and its expansion. Would recommend. Monster Hunter Stories 2. Another title soon releasing, at least on PlayStation. This is Monster Hunter Stories 2. And boy, what an upgrade to the first game in every way, but most importantly to the hammer. Like you can probably tell already seeing how high I've ranked it. Stories 2, like its predecessor, is a turn-based RPG, but unlike its predecessor, the hammer this time round is really bloody good. Gone are the type-based combos of the first game, and instead we get an actual charge mechanic you feel by winning head-to-heads. Filling the charge level lets you unleash powerful Hunter arts that do some of the highest damage in the game, making Hammer a solid choice for DPSing. The arts change a little depending on your equipped weapon like in the first game. As you can see here, I'm using the Dios Hammer, and this gets a Blast Fire Chaser skill I can use to nuke a monster suffering fire or blast blights. However, you likely won't be using Hammer in every situation, since Stories 2 introduce type resistances and part targeting, so some parts or monsters in general will be heavily resistant to blunt damage, forcing you to swap to one of your other 2 equipped weapons. Oh yeah, so you can equip 3 weapons in this game, and you can swap them once per turn. Ideally you're going to be using 1 cunning, 1 blunt, and 1 piercing. Aside from having a monstie along for the journey, you'll get NPC party members and their monsties too on top of that. So of course the best NPC to bring is Avinia, since she uses Hunting Horn and completes the Bonk Brigade. But none of the type resistances forcing you off Hammer in some fights, or the NPC allies that don't actually use Hammer affects my opinion that Stories 2 Hammer is extremely fun. It's so rewarding to win consistent head-to-head battles and charging that hammer for giant damage. The combat system in Stories 2, I'll say it again, is a massive improvement over Stories 1 and makes a damn good JRPG. Please Sony players buy these games and let Capcom know we want a Stories 3. Monster Hunter World Iceborne? Finally a 5th generation game with Monster Hunter World plus Iceborne. It's only natural these rank near the top of the list, since these are the best the Monster Hunter series had ever played. Hammer in Monster Hunter World was incredibly fun to use. Like, you could feel the weight of the weapon more here than any other game, and that made playing it all the more satisfying. In terms of new attacks, nothing changed since Gen 3 outside Generation's hunting styles that as of now are exclusive to that game, but come Monster Hunter World there was a lot of new additions. The first big one is this new combo called the Big Bang, replacing the old side smash. This lets you perform a series of bonks to a monster's head before landing a powerful finishing attack, but only if each hit before it actually connects to a monster. The side smash isn't gone, but instead if you move the analog stick while going to perform the golf swing combo you can still start with it, and the rest of the attacks tie in with the terrain, and these are downright the best attacks here. 4 Ultimate started experimenting with verticality in its maps, and World took that and ran with it. Now you've got slopes to jump off of with this new spinning bludgeon type attack that can be performed while charging and letting go when sliding. The more you charge up, the more spins you will get, and the same thing for these walls you'll find around every map. Spinning to win has never been more real in Monster Hunter before, and with these insanely good attacks, the hammer was G-Swiss Montaigne far more than any insect glaive fellas were. These are all awesome, and World is my favourite style of combat we've ever had in the series. Or at least was, as the year is currently 2024, and unfortunately no longer can one simply play just Monster Hunter World. Nope, we got Iceborne added into the mix, bringing downright the worst thing ever introduced in the Monster Hunter series. You know what it is, it's the fucking Clutch Claw. Unlike past games where changing a weapon's moveset was optional, this is forced upon you as of Iceborne's release, and you will be forced to use the fucking thing in Iceborne content, else you'll be fighting a Pookie for 40 minutes if not timing out. Clutch Claw is like those stupid machine claws from Junji Ito's Gyo, only the Clutch Claw doesn't kill you, putting you out of your misery once it's hooked onto your arm, but I digress. Thankfully it's not all bad for us Hammer Bros, since we are one of the 2 weapon types that actually get good use out of this shit, and even better for us, it combos off the already stupid good spinning attacks in the level 3 charge. With this Clutch Claw attack, the hammer can spin onto a monster's face or wherever else you hit it, and combo straight into that weakening attack that everyone has to use, else we get grey hair by the end of the hunt. If it wasn't for this shit gimmick, I'd rank Monster Hunter World at first place, but alas Capcom screwed up and made one of the best Mon Hun games probably the worst. I bet I've riled up a lot of you 5th leaders today saying that, and if I ever do another one of these videos for another weapon it'll only get worse because the Clutch Claw gets more shit from here. Water Combat, Monster Hunter 3. Before we had World fans versus Rise enjoyers, the community was split over underwater combat, and whether you liked it or not. Personally I love it. I mean, I got it at 5th place, of course I love it. And Hammer isn't as bad as some other weapons down in the Deep Blue. Attack-wise, it plays the exact same as land-based Hammer in the 3rd generation. The obvious big difference is you can move along the Y-axis now rather than just the X. And that's awesome! How many people have tried hitting a monster's head on the ground only for it to be a tad too high? Well, when you're in water, just move up and bonk it. The part about Hammer being highly mobile works massively in its favour here, since you can move almost as well as the monster can. I'll admit it's not the best, and some of that old school jank really shows its head down here, but rather than look at it as being a flaw, I see it as canonically, of course an aquatic monster can outperform an underwater human. We're not built for it like they are. The real flaw with underwater combat was we didn't have enough monsters to fight like this. Guild Style, Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate / 4th Generation. So this was one I had to seriously think hard where to put 4th Generation Hammer, or Guild Style if you're playing Generations, since this is a Hammer moveset I'm extremely fond of. Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate is mine, and many people's favourite game in the series for good reason. I have played 4 Ultimate alone for almost 2,000 hours, and over half of that was on the Hammer, so I have some serious nostalgia for it. When it came time to think where to put it on the list, I wanted to put it in either 2nd or 3rd place, but after serious consideration, I decided to put it here at 4th. What makes 4th Generation Hammer so great is it's really simple and safe to play with a broken R1 button on the 3DS. Okay, I jest, but only half. Jokes aside, 4th Generation added in verticality, and Hammer got new attacks with that, atop of the existing 3rd Gen moveset it still uses here. You can now jump off a wall to smash a monster with your hammer, or far more effectively slam a monster with a charged attack off a ledge. This charged slam attack back in 4 Ultimate had some real crazy mounting potential. I think just under me using the sword and shield, I mounted more with hammer than I saw any insect glaive user back then. If you're playing Generations Ultimate, then this moveset is called the Guild style and gets 2 Hunter arts and no drawbacks since this is your vanilla playstyle. The Guild style's SP effect speeds up item use like speed eating, so no long flexes for you guildies. Yeah, so 4th Gen's Guild Hammer is one of my favourites. I would have put it a lot higher, but decided not to get too carried away on nostalgia. This style slightly improved on Gen 3, which I already loved, and it's the moveset from my favourite Monster Hunter game. I have many fond memories of playing this for hundreds of hours with both a broken R button and a working one. I love it. I look forward to the day I can pick this playstyle back up when 4 Ultimate gets a remaster in the future. I mean, it has to happen one day, right? Alright, we're almost to the big 3 hammers, but before that, a few honourable mentions. Number 1, Prowler, Monster Hunter Generations. A Palico? Nya, this is Prowler, the 15th weapon of Monster Hunter Generations. Yeah, this game lets you play as a cat, it's epic, just another reason to pick up Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate on the Switch. Prowlers are highly customizable with different roles, types, support moves, and skills. Think Rise's Palico system, but way better because you are the cat. And the cats can do anything a hunter can. You can slay a monster, capture them, meowth them, carve them, get infinite gathering tools, always know the monster's location, and likely more I forgot to add. Most importantly though, they can equip hammers. Or Palico versions of hammers anyway. Yep, so unfortunately this isn't a real hammer. Prowler is a different weapon entirely to hammer, so it can't officially count, but will get a special mention from me at least. Monster Hunter TCGs. Did you know Monster Hunter had TCGs? Emphasis on the plural there, yes, I said TCGs, there was 3 of them! The third one isn't important today, as it's about Monster Hunter stories and the monsters, but the other 2 are. So the first was called Monster Hunter the Trading Card Game, and based around Gen 1-2 Monhun. I think this worked like Magic the Gathering's Commander, where you had one Commander Hunter and used the monsters to attack your opponent. Take all this with a giant grain of salt, as I have no bloody idea. I'm basing this off what user Dead Raccoon listed over on the Monster Hunter subreddit, link in the description, and I'm stretching his words a lot saying that. Anyway, the second TCG is called the Hunting Card Game, and that ran off Generation 3 stuff, where you play as a party of hunters instead of only one. This one had a rule set linked by Dead Raccoon, so you can see that we use our hunting party to clear Monster Quest cards, and race each other to 2000 guild points to win. I had to slot this into an honourable mention because I don't know how either of these really play. I cannot speak, let alone read Japanese. I also don't live in Japan, and even if I ever visited the country, I think finding someone to verse would be incredibly difficult because this game was discontinued nearly a decade ago. I'm showing here some of the cards I own. I bought these online a while ago. They aren't cheap as they've been out of print for a long time. But if you own some of your own and would like to try playing with me over Discord or something using translation apps, then comment below, I would love to give it a whirl. Durumbarus. Yeah, I know this one's a monster, but just look at that tail, he's one of us. Speaking of the tail, Durumbaro is the only monster whose tail can be smashed off and carved when using a hammer. The Durumbarus more than earns its spot on the mention list, after all he was our inspiration for the Silkbind impact crater in Rise. No doubt we stole that move from him after he first took our spitting bludgeon, so fair's fair. What's not fair is old Durumbaro not making it into a 5th generation roster, or even being a tameable monster in Stories 2, like come on Capcom, show our man some love please! Monster Hunter Rise, Sunbreak. Now I'll be the first to say I don't particularly like how fast-paced the action got in Monster Hunter Rise, and that I hope this isn't the direction the series continues along, but goddamn, I'll be lying if I didn't say it wasn't bloody fun. Hammer here, much like every weapon in Rise, shares most of its moveset with Monster Hunter World, as they are both 5th generation titles, but they played nothing like each other. This is due to that change towards faster paced combat and the inclusion of the wire bug. This little fella does a lot, but the only important thing I need to mention today is it gives hunters access to Rise's version of Hunter Arts called the Silk Binds. Compared to Hunter Arts, these Silk Binds are more restrictive on what you can select, but can be used far more frequently. You'll always have 2 Silk Binds equipped from a predetermined list per Silk Bind slot, and these can be changed anytime at the item box, alongside my favourite feature introduced in Rise, the Switch Skills. These switch skills completely change your weapon's core moveset, similar to Frontier's weapon styles, only here you get to select what attacks change. I realise at this point I'm explaining Rise's gameplay features over the hammer, and I have good reason for that. You see, hammer and well, any weapon can be whatever you want it to be in Monster Hunter Rise. Despite what some elitist meta slayers will protest, there's no right or wrong way to play them. So instead of listing all the potential changes to hammer here, I'll instead just talk about what I like to play because that's the reason why I've ranked it as high as 3rd, and also there's better people who have already covered that. Starting from the top of my switch skill page is number 1, Water Strike. Replacing the side smash, this new attack is actually a parry and can lead straight into the golf swing when successfully activated. Then there's switch skill 2 called Charge Switch Courage. It is so hard saying switch this much. But this is actually my real favourite hammer move, okay? I was lying twice before that. This skill turns your charge attacks into its own free hit combo when under the blue hammer stance. This is one of the best ways to play hammer and combos nicely with Water Strike and the last 2 switch skills I'll mention here. Switch skill 3 I'd never really use. I don't understand it nor cared to learn. I'd like the courage combo far better. Skill 4 is Keeping Sway, and this is a silk bind that gives a lot of IV frames and can hold the level of your charge. It's a good gap closer or exit for emergency situations, but it's a Sunbreak only move, so before that I used Dash Breaker in this slot. Since it's kinda the same thing but with super armor and an attack rather than invul, it's fun to use, especially running head on at monsters like Diablos or Tigrex. My 5th switch skill is a Silkbind Impact Burst that adds 1 extra hit and higher flinch chances to each charge attack, which includes the Courage Charge combo. This also shares the same slot as Darumbaros's Impact Crater, which was the only move option available until Sunbreak. The only negative thing to say about Rise's hammer is it keeps the sliding attack from Monster Hunter World, which after the praise I gave it you'd think would be a good thing, but no, it's downright terrible here. I always seem to trigger this at the worst bloody time, and it doesn't help that the courage combo is charging, so when I go to position myself back at the head to do my final hit in the combo, I now slide off and jump away. And some of these slopes don't even look like they let you slide on it, whereas others that do don't. It's stupid. I bet this is only kept in the moveset since there's a Silkbind attack that lets you do the sliding jump at will, but still, that doesn't make for a good excuse. You hammer bros know exactly what it is, and understand my pain. Extreme Style, Monster Hunter Frontier. Frontier once more with feeling. Feeling fucking fantastic that is. It's time to talk about Frontier's final style, the Extreme Hammer. And what an extremely fun style this is, pun absolutely intended. It's like a blend of Rise's fast-paced action with the old school gameplay, and I dig it. So Extreme Style dropped in the Z expansion and was designed to help hunters keep up with the batshit crazy Zenith monsters. It's here Frontier really earned the nickname Monster Hunter on steroids. Let's get straight into what Extreme Style offers because it's awesome. The first thing you're likely to notice is you can sprint now, like with your weapon out I mean. Double tap move in a direction and you'll begin running just like you would if you had your weapon sheath. Now we're God Eaters. When you run like this, you can now do what I'll call an extreme charge, giving you access to new and familiar attacks. The first and second levels are the same as they've been since the first generation. It's been a while since I mentioned them, so I'll just show them here while I'm talking. The third and fourth level charges are the same as Heaven Style, so you got the infinite combo that I love and the jumping ground slam. Now with Extreme Style, you'll get a 5th level of charge that lets you do this epic front flip and then smash the hammer onto the floor. Again, overcharging here will default you into the 2nd level charge attack, but this time if you stop running you will exit the charge without an attack at all. Also, while starting a charge idle, you can do this weird spinning attack that doesn't consume any stamina and ends with a really cool animation when you stop it. The rest of the weapon plays the same as previous styles, and you could do the extreme charge with hammer without having to sprint by just walking normally and charging, but why the hell would you do that over sprinting? It's so much cooler. This new style of hammer is fun. It's fantastic, I love it. Give me more of this over Rise's direction any day, thank you. Although, if I'm being perfectly honest, hammer in Frontier is actually pretty bad, and the weapon was outclassed entirely by the magnet spike, but who cares about that? We get a fun hammer moveset out of it. And I'm here to subjectively rank what hammers are fun, and Extreme Style Hammer is one of the funnest hammers out there. If you have a way to play Monster Hunter Frontier, then I encourage you to try it. Valor Style, Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. At the end of everything, we're back to why I wanted to make this video. Generations Ultimate, one final time, the last of Generation Ultimate's 6 hunting styles, and the last hammer moveset I have to talk about, Valor Style. This is outright my favourite way to play hammer, as it combines Rise's Courage Hammer with the old school and frankly slower gameplay in general that I love. Valor's gimmick is through attacking you build up your Valor gauge, and when you feel it you enter the Valor mode. Now you are the monster. Hammer manifests this mode by getting the Courage Hammer attacks, but better now since you can charge each step of the charge attack combo. By default, each step of the combo is your natural level 1 charge attacks, one after the other, but with charging you can power these into an uppercut, a stronger uppercut, and a powerful swinging finish. This style gets one Hunter art slot with the SP ability letting you charge the Valor gauge faster. I imagine some of you watching who are familiar with Generations Ultimate might have noticed I forgot to mention one of Hammer's Hunter arts, but don't worry, I didn't. I have been saving it for Valor Style because Generation Ultimate's new Impact Press works the same as Sunbreak's Silkbind Impact Burst, adding insane damage onto Valor Hammer's charge attacks. The Valor stance powers up your dodges too, giving you this quick sidestep over the slower dodge roll. Sheathing too is buffed, letting you enter the Valor stance where for a small HP and stamina drain you can get ready to perfectly auto-dodge any attack, or use a powered up side smash or a new spinning smash attack to quickly fill the Valor gauge when empty. Shockingly though, outside the Valor charge combo, the weapon's moveset is actually gimped whether you're in Valor mode or not. You cannot do the golf swing as the combo ends after the second attack in the combo. And opposite to Striker Style, you now have the negative version of Focus built in so you charge way slower, and you can only reach the second level of charge tops. So why is it first place, you might be asking? Well, that other stuff doesn't matter. Entering the Valor stance and attacking from that fills up the Valor gauge quickly so you're never really outside Valor mode for long, letting you wham on the monster with the powerful new charge attacks. The Valor stance is also crazy good for avoiding damage, albeit at the cost of a slower weapon sheath, but that's a fair trade I'd say. Valor Style is a complex playstyle, but the most fun. It can hit hard but stay defensive at the same time. Valor Style is my favourite hammer moveset in the Monster Hunter series. Alright, if you made it to the end, thanks, I appreciate your time. I'm going to do some end of video rambling stuff now, so please like, subscribe, and I really do mean it when I ask you to comment below your opinions. I want to know what all you hunters think of the hammer, even if you don't main it or even played it before. Perhaps I might have inspired some new hunters to pick it up, I don't know. I love it of course, so I want to know what everyone's favourite hammer is, your least favourite, and where you disagree on me and all that, yeah. Also, don't forget to check out my Monster Hunter World the board game video. I'll link that in the description and the comment section. Do watch that please, I think it's one of my better videos. And I'm pretty sure today I missed a lot talking about the hammer, like there was no way I would concisely fit everything into this to begin with. Like I don't even think I ever mentioned that hammer can unsheath into a charging attack despite this being a feature since the beginning of the series. And I might have forgot about mentioning how Striker's overhead smash combo was the original moveset for hammer in the Japanese release of Monster Hunter 1. I actually learnt that from Super Rad's Hammer history video from some years back. It's outdated now, but it's still a good watch if you want a more comprehensive history lesson, so maybe watch that after my board game video. Next on my channel, I don't want to make any more big videos like this straight away. As I'm recording this audio, it's already at 1 hour and 7 minutes. I'll be trimming out some of my retakes already, but this is 3 times as long as most of my other stuff. Going forward, I'll try to do some more smaller, easy to make videos for the next couple. I'm thinking of making a video comparing old maps to new ones, mainly jungle as it's my favourite map in the series. I've also kind of already wrote an essay about that on Discord last year I could refurbish into a video. I also want to make like a top 5 video covering features from older Monster Hunter games I'd like to see added to Wilds. Since going back and playing every Monster Hunter game, there's been some cool stuff that deserves a return. And also a top 5 is far easier than a top 20 or whatever this ended up being. Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate ends online service in a couple of days as of recording this, and I'd like to record the last hours and like jump into some hunts and give the game a special send-off. The quality will suck, I don't have a modded 3DS, so it'll just be recorded off my phone, but it's better than nothing. I'll also do a proper tribute video to 4 Ultimate eventually too, but that'll likely be a long video and I'm not quite ready for that just yet. I also might do another series weapon ranking thing, so if you didn't like a particular way I presented this one, I'd love to hear from you for future feedback. As for the weapon, I don't know yet, I might do a poll when I'm ready, you'll see when I get there. I also have some other games I'd like to talk about, like that one critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV. I've been playing that MMO for 6 years now. I use my wall as my YouTube avatar, and the new expansion releases in a couple of months. I'd like to talk about that. I've also been working through another really long game series called The Legend of Heroes. I'm near the end of the 9th game now, and the next game is the last one officially translated, so when I'm done with these, I'll make something for that. I would have liked to have done that much sooner, but I don't want to tune my YouTube algorithm into content for that series. I hate spoilers, and I'd especially hate to get spoiled for this series in particular. Anyway, that's enough baiting future content for me. If you're still listening and like the sound of any of that, please subscribe for it when it's out. I'm still a growing channel, and I need all the support I can get, so yeah. But one more thing before I send off. I want to give a few thanks to the people who made this video possible. First would be the awesome people of the New World Hunters Discord who pulled me back into Generations Ultimate and inspired the video. Then there's Flimsy Mangoes who set me up with all the ROMs and emulators for the older titles and joined me on them for the online hunts. Then my mate Jezzychii who recorded the Monster Hunter Now footage as it ran too poorly on my phone to do it myself, as well as hosting our board game sessions. And lastly, everyone who's watched or listened to the whole video up to this point. You've been a tremendous help with the algorithm, and I can't fully express how much I appreciate that. Please like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't. I'm open to dialogue in the comments, so hammer away at that keyboard, and subscribe for more videos like this. Alright, that's all. Have a good one, people. Cheers.